What's up, everybody? My name is Tucker. In today's video, we're going to be looking back at the 2019 NBA Draft. If you enjoy the video, make sure to leave a like rating on it. Check out my socials at the top of the screen as well. And let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so the other day, Anthony sent me a tweet and he said, hey, Tucker, 2019 NBA Draft might be the most overhyped draft of all time. And he gave his reasonings there. And I took a look at it and I was like, hey, that could be an interesting video. So Anthony, thank you for the tweet. I'm going to go ahead and make the video as you requested. So I went and looked at the 2019 draft and I went and looked at it unbiasedly because I wanted to make sure that I wasn't just following what Anthony said here, but really when you take a look at it, it actually has been a pretty disappointing draft class. Granted, just a few years into these guys' careers, but I think there was a lot of hype. There was a lot of excitement. I think a lot of people viewed this draft class as having three possible number one overall pick options at the top of this class in Zion, Morant, and RJ Barrett. And just collectively throughout the entire class, I don't know that there's a ton of depth here. And some of the guys at the top, there's certainly some uncertainty. That's one way to phrase that. So let's get into it. So of course, number one overall, we have Zion, who's already made an all-star team. But the injury questions that Anthony mentioned in his tweet are absolutely a concern. He's already got a foot injury that he dealt with over the offseason. We know what happened with him in his rookie year where they kind of slow played it. And there's a possibility for disaster with Zion's career on a multiple different fronts, not just the injury stuff, but with what's happening in New Orleans and then potentially mishandling that and him ending up somewhere else. And it just overall, it doesn't seem like a situation that's conducive to like a 15-year, 10-time All-NBA selection career for Zion Williamson. Maybe he'll get there, but the odds seem relatively low. And compared to the hype that we had for Zion coming into the NBA, I think it definitely, so many of the concerns that we had have come to fruition, which is a little bit disappointing. I still love Zion. I love watching him play, and I hope he's healthy. I hope he's ready to go, and I hope he has an awesome career. But when we were counting on this class thinking Zion's going to be like this transcendent guy, and if he can't stay healthy, that's obviously going to be an issue. The second pick in the draft, it's Ja Morant. You can't say anything bad about him. He's been awesome. The Grizzlies have been at least competing for the postseason. He's the heart and soul of that team. He's a leader. They've got a great direction there in Memphis. The Ja Morant thing does not support this like disappointing argument in any way. Third overall, RJ Barrett. I thought about skipping over this entirely because you guys had a lot of opinions on the RJ Barrett section of the players I've given up on video the other day. He's fine. Again, though, kind of echoing some of the things I said in that video. When RJ Barrett went to Duke, a lot of people thought this guy's the first overall pick. He's awesome. He did some really cool stuff internationally against Team USA. I think it was the under 18 or the amateur level. And he just hasn't been like that star caliber guy. I think he's going to be a very, very good player for a very long time, but he's almost like the perfect like microcosm of this draft class as a whole, where it's like, oh, he's going to be awesome and he's good, right? And it's only 2 years into his career. He can continue to grow and develop. But like, is RJ Barrett ever going to be an All-NBA guy? I don't know. And we thought that this was going to be like an All-NBA caliber class, and it's more so turning out to be like a above average starter level class. So fourth overall, Deandre Hunter. This was the dropping off point in this class. And I don't want to undersell Deandre Hunter because he's an important piece for Atlanta. He's a good player, good defender, two-way player, was really integral to Atlanta. When he's healthy, when he plays, he's really, really helpful to them. But him being like, oh, good starting wing guy as the fourth pick in this draft is a little bit disappointing when you go and look at some of these other draft classes that we'll kind of compare this 2019 class to as we go along. Again, no disrespect to him. Hopefully he stays healthy. But fourth overall here has been, I would say, slightly underwhelming. Fifth pick, Darius Garland. I think he's a talented player. It's a complete to be determined for me. Complete TBD, which is what it was when he was drafted because nobody saw the guy play in college. Basically, we're going off like high school tape. And I think he's a talented guard, but I'm not willing to even really count him within this class in terms of contributing to the class as a whole, because I don't know. I don't know what we're going to get out of him over the next couple of years, although I do think he's talented. Number 6 is already a disaster. It's Jared Culver. He's already been traded. It just never clicked. For whatever reason, you know, Minnesota was never able to put him in a position to be successful. He was a really interesting combo guard at Texas Tech that elevated his game the year before he came to the draft. And then he got to Minnesota and they're like, hey, be an off-ball 3-and-D guy. And it just never clicked. It just didn't work out. And so obviously the 6th overall pick already having been traded just 2 years later, not a great sign for this class. Then we go to a handful of other guys that's, I would say definitely are disappointments. Kobe White might not last much longer on the Chicago Bulls. They brought in a ton of guards this offseason. He's a guy that I really liked in this class, and it just, just hasn't happened for him. I think he can score, but he's probably looking at like a bench or a 6-man role for the rest of his career unless he really develops in a significant way. Jackson Hayes is kind of on bust watch for me personally. The fit in New Orleans is questionable alongside Zion, of course, but he was supposed to be this like uber athletic, rim protecting guy that's going to be a great lob threat. And it's still just all potential. Again, the caveat of it's only been 2 years, but still, going off the disappointing narrative, I think the Jackson Hayes thing absolutely supports that. Rui, I'm still holding out hope for in Washington. Again, he was a part of that set of videos the other day where I'm still holding out hope. I have not given up on Rui. Best case scenario, though, he's probably just like a really good starter. And again, a bit disappointing when you're looking at a top 10 pick. Cam Reddish, still mostly potential, similar to some of the other guys we've talked about to this point where he's had some flashes and he's shown some things, but I wouldn't put him as like some overwhelming positive when you look at this draft class just 2 years later. Cam Johnson is a player I like in Phoenix. Solid lottery pick. He's going to be a nice role player, can shoot, good size, can defend decently. Same with PJ Washington. There's a couple of guys I really like, but then you really go and look at the rest of the draft, and there's not a lot of hugely positive things. Don't really need to make any comments about Tyler Hero. We know what Tyler Hero does well and some of the things he struggled with last year as well. Romeo Langford, Sekou Doumbouya has already been traded. You go and look at the rest of the class. Matisse Thybulle is good in Philly. KPJ has potential. Nicholas Claxton is good. Then you're looking at like Daniel Gafford, Bol, Terrence Mann. And again, it's still early, but from top to bottom, I would argue that this has been a disappointing class, as Anthony sent me in the tweet. And I think that there's two differentiating factors when you look at draft classes and compare them. You have to look at what kind of guys are we getting at the top of the class? Are the first, second, third, fourth, fifth picks, are those guys turning out to be all-star, all-NBA caliber guys? Because when those players don't work out super well, it can certainly, really bring down the overall level of the draft class. And then you got to look at depth. So when you look at the top of the class, it's certainly the top of this class to this point, it's still early, does not compare to something like 2018, where you've got Luka and Trey earning super max extensions and a couple of other guys that are going to be signing maxes as well within that top 10. 2017, you've got Jason Tatum at the top, and then throughout the rest of the lottery, you've got Donovan Mitchell, Bam Adebayo in the middle of the first. 2016, the top three in that class is really good with Simmons, Brown, and Ingram. Guys like Pascal Siakam later in the class as well. But this draft looks more and more like something that we saw back in 2015, where there's some players at the top of the class that are good to great. Karl Anthony Towns, D'Angelo Russell, Kristaps Porzingis. Then you go and look and, there's some gems in there. A guy like Devin Booker back in 2015. But then after that, not much else. And, there's still potential for plenty of these guys to develop, and Tyler Hero might be an all-star level guy one day, or Cam Reddish might fulfill the potential that a lot of people think that he has and be a really, really good player. But I think really it's the depth that could eventually hold this draft class back, because like Zion, if he's healthy, is going to be awesome. Ja Morant's going to be awesome. RJ Barrett's going to be good. But pretty much every draft class, unless it's the Anthony Bennett draft, is going to have 1 to 3 all-star level guys in the top 10 to 15. But then when you look at the rest of the class and the depth doesn't show up, that's where things really start to become an issue. I mean, you're looking at, draft classes that have Giannis winning an MVP in the middle of the first round, or Nikola Jokic winning an MVP in the second round, or Rudy Gobert with multiple all-defense selections late in the first, Pascal Siakam late in the first. Those are the things that can really separate a class. And that stuff is lacking in this class, and it doesn't compare at all to a class like 2018 with Luka and Trey and SGA and MPJ and DeAndre Ayton and Mikal Bridges. It just doesn't have it right now. Now, granted, again, there are guys to keep an eye on here. Cam Reddish could be awesome. Maybe Kobe White figures it out in a different situation. Maybe Darius Garland is an all-star level player a couple of years from now. Maybe RJ Barrett I'm completely off on, and he is an all-star level guy, and Zion stays healthy, and we look at this draft a couple years from now, and the top 3 guys are all 3 All-NBA guys. It's absolutely possible, but I would say relative to the expectations we had for the 2019 NBA draft class coming into the draft process, couple years later now, I would say for the most part, it has been a disappointment, especially when you compare it to other classes within the last couple of seasons, looking at 2018, 17, and 15. It's more so on that 2015 NBA draft level of comparisons. Right now, but we'll see. Let me know down in the comment section below what you guys think. Give me an argument. Do you think it's disappointing? Do you think it's right where we thought it would be? Let me know down in the comment section below what you guys think of the 2019 NBA draft, excuse me. And again, Anthony, thanks for sending this over. It was a cool video. I appreciate you tweeting that over at me. But that is going to be the end of today's video, and I thank you all very much for watching. Once again, my name is Tucker. If you missed any of my previous videos, be sure to check out the boxes on screen, leave a like rating on it as well if you enjoyed it, and check out my socials at the top of the screen as well. With all those things said, hope you guys have an awesome rest of your day, and I will see you all next time.